thank you for coming back for the last session.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, Jim. So, session plan 3.
Yes.
Sorry, Taylor, I'll just get you to close the door for me. So that we have no distractions. Thank you. So, session 3 covers emergency and security situations and reporting incidents. So, our session outlines and key points are emergency, that should be preparedness. Right, knowing how to react to emergencies like disasters, medical issues or accidents, and having plans for quick action. Security measures, so setting up safety rules to prevent theft, violence or unauthorised access, and staying alert to avoid problems, as well as learning how to do incident reporting. So that's having clear steps for reporting emergencies and security issues, quickly notifying authorities and keeping records for follow-up. So, how to recognise an emergency. So, emergency is a threat of your life or health. Okay, is if someone is in immediate danger of injury or death, it's an emergency. Examples include severe bleeding, difficulty breathing, chest pain, or signs of a heart attack or stroke. And then the unusual or extreme behaviour is a sudden unexpected change in someone's behaviour, such as confusion, unconsciousness, or violent actions, could signal a medical emergency or crisis. Dangerous environment, any situation involving immediate risk to safety, such as fires, natural disasters, or hazardous spills, is an emergency. Severe pain or injury is one as well, so when someone is experiencing intense pain, especially if it's sudden and unexplained. Alright, it could be an emergency requiring immediate medical care. Loss of function, so sudden loss of bodily function, such as paralysis, inability to speak, or loss of coordination, is often a sign of a serious condition like a stroke or neurological event, and should be treated as an emergency. So we do have an activity for emergency situations. So have you ever been involved in any type of emergency? Where did it happen? How did you respond to it? And did you seek help from others? So we are going to possibly get a couple, hopefully, to answer these questions for me. So does anyone have any experiences, whether it's in your workplaces, home?
Yes.
Beautiful, Turner. Can you please give us an example? So have you ever been involved in a type of emergency, and what was it?
It was a fire emergency. So there was a bushfire where I lived, and we had to evacuate.
So where did it happen? So obviously at home?
Yes.
So how did you respond to it?
I just kept looking on the, I think it's called SITXWHS005 app, and on there just gives updates of what zones you're in and where to evacuate, and yeah.
And did you seek help from others?
Yes and no. It was only really me at home at the time, so it was just me and my child.
Was there anyone or possibly anything damaged in the
Yes.
fire?
Not my own things, but yes, there was a lot of things damaged. Some houses, and then obviously the bush. Yeah.
So was there anything that happened after that that concerned you in terms of witnessing something maybe, possibly?
Just it happening again, I think.
Thank you for your example. What about you, Jim? You said you had an emergency that you've been involved in.
Kind of an emergency. So we were cooking outside, cooking with oil in a pot, and the oil caught fire, and they had to put a hose on, which would have bothered everything up, an oil fire guy.
Yeah.
So they stopped it and then ended up trying to make it on it.
So where did this happen?
My mate's backyard, yeah.
How did you respond to it? You said you tried to pour water on a
Yeah, they got the
fire.
water on it, and then my daughter got the water and stopped the water. And then he had like a blanket there, and we just put the blanket over the top of it, and then I just put a fire on the pot, and it sort of stopped.
So in regards to cooking oil and fats, do we know what extinguishers are used for it?
Should know this.
It was you either used the powder one or the H2, the cold ice one, which one's
So
that?
you've got wet chemical, and that is designed for cooking oils and fats, fires.
That's
also
the
got-
fine one, isn't it?
No, so foam's different to wet chem.
Mm.
So wet chemical and a fire blanket are simply the only ones you can use. You can use other things, but they're limited. So the effect of it is limited. So in your case, you'd use a wet chemical extinguisher, but obviously not a lot of people have extinguishers at home. So your next step would be to use a fire blanket. In your situation, T, probably a fire hose. Alright, but there's not a lot you can do if it's a man-made fire. Alright, or disaster. What about, did you seek help from others?
Pardon?
Did you seek help from others?
No, it was sort of, well, yeah, it was just sort of, I said, don't let her do that, and don't let her put the hose on, and yeah, so it was kind of like a bit of a panic thing, but a group thing. It was not a real panic thing at the core fire, it was a panic thing, she was going to put the water on. And then she goes, no, you know what I mean? Oh,
Has anyone been involved in like any serious crashes or anything where there's a risk to people?
Yes.
didn't stab us twice and that,
Yes?
Car crash?
Yes, you mind describing, so in terms of the emergencies, it's just general. It doesn't have to be like workplace setting or whatever. Tandon, have you ever been involved in an emergency?
I've never been involved, but I have seen several incidents, like fire, vehicle accident.
Were you just like on there at the time?
Yeah. One of the incident was when we were on the site, there was a vehicle accident, which was pretty bad. Both the drivers were unconscious, and we had to call our supervisor, and then supervisor he called the emergency response, and literally everyone helped.
So what caused the accident, if you don't mind me asking?
Actually,
So were they both?
maybe it's a brake failure or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how did you respond to it? Did you call your supervisor?
We called supervisor. We went over there to help the both drivers to get out of the vehicles, and apart from that, the emergency people they came and they helped.
Awesome. Did you, like from the emergencies that you've obviously been involved with, did it have any mental effect on you?
Not me really. No, but I mean, in the time, yeah, there's been times where, yes, there was incidents over the time when we worked and where guys have died in front of us, and later on things been brought up in meetings, whatever. One meeting where a guy said, okay, I want everyone to have something that's happened where someone died, and as soon as he said that, it raised in my head, and I said, but like, I don't want to talk about it, don't ask me. And then a couple of nights later, yeah, I dreamed about it, so yeah, so it does, you have like a bit of,
Without realising.
Like kind of like
bad stress stuff, yeah.
PTSD?
Bit of trauma.
Yeah, it did all right, fine. Yes, so that was not fun.
Well, thanks guys for getting around that. So in an emergency event, you don't know what is going to happen. It's a dangerous situation, threatens the health and safety of people or property. Needs urgent attention to bring it under control. And in most hospitality workplaces, it is not only the workers who are affected, there are usually guests or visitors involved too. Emergency procedures. So your workplace should have an emergency procedure, which tells everyone what to do. This is often called an emergency plan. So it should tell you immediate action to take, who to call to raise the alarm, how to notify emergency services, how, when and where to evacuate, names of people responsible for making decisions during the emergency. Now in your workplaces, do you have fire wardens, area wardens?
Yeah, we do, right? You want?
Yes.
Yep.
At Hungry Jack's it was mainly just your manager.
Supervisor.
Yeah, the restaurant manager or your manager on shift.
Were you guys aware of your action plan, like emergency plans?
Yeah, when you undergo training, you're taught all the evacuation procedures, what to do in certain emergencies, but it's always you're like your manager and they kind of make the decisions there.
So then we move on to report health and safety concerns, right, as well as security. So reporting health, safety and security concerns is essential for maintaining a safe environment. To report an issue, you've got to identify the concern. So recognise hazards related to health, safety or security. So unsafe equipment, fire risk or theft. Document the issue, note the details, take photos and assess the severity of it. Follow reporting procedures, so report to a supervisor, complete an incident form or use a safety hotline. Ensure action, so follow up to ensure that the concern is addressed and monitor the situation. Confidentiality, that's a big point in a lot of industries, right? Use anonymous reporting if needed and be aware of whistleblower protections. So no legal obligations, be aware of legal duties to report hazards in your area or workplace. Reporting concerns helps create a safer environment for all. So we have a group activity, okay? So what I will do is I'm going to grab an incident report, so it's exactly the same as what we have, however it's bigger. We're then going to use this scenario. Say for instance Jenny was cutting the bread to make a sandwich for a client. Okay, you're in a cafe environment. She could not find the bread knives, so she used a meat cleaver. Right, so out of this situation, what do we think could have happened to Jenny? Why do we think that? Straight away.
Because of the wrong knife.
And it's sharp. Way too sharp.
And it's obviously for meat, right?
Yeah.
Meat cleaver, she's making a sandwich with
That's
us.
contamination.
That could be a point too. So I'm going to go and grab some incident reports. We're then going to fill it out based on this scenario. Probably take about 5 minutes, give or take,
Yeah.
for the scenario, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Give me just a minute.
No, that's not it. You need to untie it, but this thing has been like this for fucking years. This is my neck. I know. And it's like fucking. I wonder if they just leave it. It's a good What if people walk in like this, eh?
That's what I used to do in the seventies, eh?
What you used to do in cities, babe.
Right, that was a
I was
fucking,
still looking.
wow, but that was,
I was half
Woodstock.
an egg and half a sperm.
Right, thank you for your patience.
But
Just here.
I was losing my patience.
So this is an incident report. So what would the first thing, what is the first thing you would do? So if you're writing a report and you're filling one out.
What day, so you put the
For the date.
date,
Date and location and what the incident
what's
was.
the date for before then?
Yep, so you put the date in,
Yeah,
so you put the 14th, for example.
the time,
I would say the time is
lunchtime,
4:43.
4:43.
Okay, what's the next question?
With like what work site did the incident occur in?
Where's
Kitchen?
the-
Yeah, we could say kitchen.
Yeah, it was
Kitchen.
kitchen,
Yep, because she's making a sandwich for a client.
oh, yeah,
So the
kitchen,
location description, I would just put,
location, it was,
Or should we write in work site as in like a cafe, right? Or restaurant?
oh yes.
or work
Cafe
site.
slash restaurant.
Kitchen, yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
right.
So then you put cafe in here.
Cafe here,
No, where the kitchen is across kitchen now.
oh, yeah, cafe, yeah.
Okay. And then underneath is the location of where it was, so you put
So
kitchen.
the role. Sorry, I'm going
No, that's okay, so then you'll go through and you'll try and write it out on your own. If you then get stuck, we'll work through it. So obviously we'll have to make quite a few of these up because it's just a makeshift scenario.
People involved.
So then you'll go, so roll code, you can just make up a random number.
I put down
Or bottom eight?
Injured person. So
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, there's your roll code.
People involved,
IIP.
or no person involved in incident on it. So these are witnesses sort of thing, aren't they?
Well, I think this is like people that have been injured and then bystanders that witnessed it and then
Right, and as what person involved in incident, either virtually or as a witness.
Thank you,
Oh,
T,
yeah,
for pointing that out. There is roll codes on the bottom.
yeah.
And then the role description and roll code.
In this incident report, how do we know that she was injured? Because
I think we're gonna talk about that in the next few pages maybe, like
Yeah.
PSC.
And so this doesn't stipulate too far, but we're then going to guess what's happened just from this information given.
okay.
Okay? So she could not find the bread knife, so she used the meat cleaver. We're then going to, for instance, say, with that meat cleaver, she then accidentally, as we spoke about earlier, cut her finger. Because that is a potential hazard when she's not using the correct bread knives to make the sandwich. All good, Camden? Yeah, so then you'll fill out the rest. So people involved. So you put Jenny, or Jimmy, you can put Jimmy if you want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now usually you put in the contact address, but for this it's just a made up scenario. As well as the telephone number, so you can make that one up as well, or you can just leave it. You're then going to say that you were also a bystander in that. So you'll put yourself, or someone else that you want to put in.
Oh, add ourselves to it.
Now type employee, and now you just put a random one in for the next one. So this is just showing us, of course, what's involved in an incident report. And there is quite a lot of information you do have to remember. Yeah.
The full detailed one.
So we'll just say Jenny was in the kitchen making a sandwich for a client. The meat cleaver then slipped and cut her finger. So in that detailed description, you've got to explain, you've got to detail who, what, where, when, and how. So who was it? Jen. Where was it? At the cafe. Who was involved? Again? Jenny was. When did it happen? We stipulated that it happened at 4:43. All good, Linda? Yeah, who, what, where, how, and when. So what happened? She cut her finger. Who did it happen to? Jen. Where did it happen? At the cafe. When did it happen? 4:43. What was the last point? That's it. So who, what, where, how, and when. So how did it happen? She was making a sandwich for one of her clients.
Oh.
That's okay, you can just put an arrow to the next one.
Yeah, sorry.
So those two are pretty much the same. The short description is just, she cut her hand. Right? Or Jenny was making a sandwich, she cut her hand. Then the second section, you've got to put the location of where it was. Who did it happen to? What actually happened? When did it happen? And how did it happen? So it happened because she didn't use the correct knives. Alright, she could have also been distracted. So in that regard, because it is just a made up hazard or made up situation, you can then create your own. But in a real situation, that's what you've got to remember. Who, what, where, when, and how.
horrendous
You
road.
know, what's the impression? What's the impression?
Possibly critical, maybe high.
Yeah, fine. Short description. Oh.
Sorry.
Right, it doesn't have to be lengthy.
No.
Alright, just imagine you're the emergency services person. You come here, you just want to know those 5 points. Who, what, where, when, how. Not a big long description, otherwise it will take longer for them to assess what has happened. And if you've never actually had to fill out an incident report before, this is the amount of detail that entails when you do have to write one, regardless if you were involved or you were just a bystander. Okay, so just put, you know, writing these, you just put who, you'll put who, what happened, alright,
Yeah,
when did it happen,
yeah.
where did it happen, and how it happened. Just short and sharp.
Jenny,
So Jenny,
what?
cut her hand or her finger, when,
So, where, kitchen,
or cafe,
okay.
and how she was making a sandwich for a client. Well done, Taylor?
Yeah.
So have you noticed that there's a lot of information that are involved in these? And like if you're in a situation where someone's potentially passed away, in this, obviously there's going to be a lot of and a lot of factors you've got to entail. So as Jim mentioned earlier, he spoke about how he possibly had PTSD after that. So you've then got to write this, as well as being overwhelmed, what is something that you thought you'd never seen before, and try and remember all of that information.
Yeah,
Have a story that
study,
it's about the works.
yes. Doesn't have any,
This is good.
the body colour,
I'll be honest.
on the moon. You cut it on the, right. Course of incident, hip, lifting, reach, hand
Yeah, that's all.
to,
Training.
first aid, first aid.
So she definitely seems very like she doesn't have a finger.
Couple of things. She did good.
So would that be classed as fatal death? Death, sorry?
Yeah. That's fatal. Very short, sorry.
How about, it's pretty into everything.
What factors,
Fine,
if any, contributed to the incident?
what, bad.
And then do you have any suggestions for reducing the likelihood of this incident? So we've just went through a whole session of controls. Right, reducing
I know,
the levels
using
of risk.
pre-cut bread,
Oh, that's really smart.
What did you say, Jim?
using sliced bread, like pre-sliced bread.
I said having,
Correct,
more,
Kelly.
I said having more knives because it's, from my understanding, the knife was getting washed, which is why she opted for something.
Or if you're going to be using big knives like that, possibly having gloves that don't cut through that.
Yeah.
And if she is using and making something for a client, you would then have to have gloves on, right?
When you're at a bridge, when you're cutting into cartilage, you gotta wear these specific gloves that don't
Those fucking
cut.
silver ones.
No, they're red,
Hey, Antonin, you alright?
and they last one from getting cut.
I don't know what you the code.
Oh, yeah, and just boom. So it's just a big, and it just slices it.
And those ones.
So these will then be attached to
I'm off.
your exam, and then
This
you
is
look at the end of it.
completed fine.
So is there anything new that you've learned just from that? Have you ever filled out an incident report before?
No,
No.
Not in that detail, right?
no. Actually, I have filled out an incident report, but not to this level.
So, and obviously in the cafe environments too, you would then have to write quite a few of these, possibly. If the controls are in place, not. So I'll just collect those if you're finished, please. Jim, can I have yours?
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Jim. Let's move on. So we've completed the incident report. So this is just obviously a little tool, which I probably should have went through before we went through the incident report. So my apologies for that. But it's just, you know, how to write an incident report. We already know how to do that. So because we already know, this might just give us a little bit more detail in what we were confused on as we were writing it.
Okay.
So it's just a little 3-minute video.
Incident reports are an important tool that can help your organization improve the quality of care and workplace safety. By highlighting accidents and near misses, incident reports can point out training gaps and issues or practices that may need to change. In addition to incident reports for internal use, OSHA requires employers to log and promptly report all workplace incidents that cause the death, serious injury, or hospitalization of a worker. OSHA officers would look to make sure covered employers properly complete and store injury and illness record-keeping forms and an annual summary. You'll need to store these records for 5 years. To meet these goals, make sure your organization's incident reporting system facilitates accuracy, clarity, and completeness. Know that an incident report should be filed whenever an unexpected incident occurs, including injury or situation that could potentially cause injury to any staff member, visitor, or patient, potential exposure to infectious or hazardous materials, a medication error or other medical error, a medical device malfunction, or damage to equipment or property. If you've witnessed an incident, you should complete your report promptly while the accident is still fresh in your mind. Write as clearly as possible, use correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation, and avoid confusing language. First, describe what happened and give the chronological sequence of events. Be as specific as you can. For example, if you are reporting a medication error, include the brand name and manufacturer, as well as the error that occurred, such as the wrong dosage, route, timing, or medication. Include the full names and identifying information for all individuals involved in the incident, as well as those who witnessed the incident. Be sure to clearly distinguish what you personally witnessed from what a patient or another person told you. If a patient is involved, consider including a direct quote from him or her. Describe the consequences of the injury or damage that occurred, if any. If someone was injured, what treatment did he or she require? If a staff member was injured, was the individual able to return to work? Finally, you should explain what actions were taken to respond to the incident, who was involved, and at what time these actions were taken. Be factual and objective throughout the incident report. Don't make assumptions or point fingers. However, in some organizations, you may be asked to include what you think contributed to the incident, and you may be asked to give recommendations for how similar incidents could be prevented. MedTrainer offers incident report training and a respected medical incident management system that is customizable, so employees will give all the information.
Alright. So we know how important it is to follow procedures. So the proper procedures help prevent accidents, injuries, or risk by setting clear guidelines. Now, consistency provides a standard way of doing things, ensuring the tasks are carried out the same way every time, reducing errors and confusion. And then adhering to procedures to make sure you meet legal and regulatory requirements, having well-established procedures to save time and resources, following procedures to make it easier to track actions and responsibilities, right, ensuring there's accountability for the outcomes. Then quality control, maintaining high standards and quality by ensuring that tasks are completed correctly and consistently. In summary, following procedures help to maintain safety, consistency, legal compliance, and efficiency, whilst ensuring accountability and quality. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of it, guys. So group discussion, responding to a mock emergency scenario. So, Taylor was working at the cafe when she noticed a small fire caused by a faulty electrical wire. Although she saw the fire extinguisher nearby, she had not received any training on how to use it. As a result, Taylor evacuated the cafe. Unfortunately, the fire spread and the cafe was destroyed because the fire brigade arrived too late. Did Taylor handle the situation appropriately?
Yes and no.
So why yes and why no?
Yes, for her own safety, it could have been prevented before it got to that point.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
There's lack of training and foresight from the employer. He did a good job by evacuating, so that the place burned down, there wasn't a risk to health and safety or death of people.
Beautiful. So if you think, right, if Taylor was given training on how to use an extinguisher, do you think she would then have been able to prevent the spread of the fire before it was burnt down?
Absolutely.
But in saying that, also could have gone and asked someone else if they knew how to do it.
So there's heaps of different things that could have been done, right? She did make the right decision to evacuate. Now this here, they should be in all workplaces, for those obviously who've never used them before. Regardless of the training that you've had, this is how you extinguish a fire. So you've got the pass acronym that they use. So pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, and then sweep across the base of the fire. That is essentially how you extinguish the fire. What also should be involved in this is knowing what extinguishers to use for what. So obviously when you've got Class A fires, which could consist of wood, plastic and so on, that is used, water is used for that. When you've got cooking oils and fats, which is involved in a cafe, you then use what we spoke about earlier, so the wet chemical or the fire blanket. In this case, I'm guessing Taylor had no knowledge of any of that. But with the correct training, as we stated, she would definitely be able to, well, possibly, be able to have saved the cafe.
Do the fire extinguishers have labels on them as well, though, to state what
Yes.
one for what?
So they've got labels, but they've also got different colours. So red in colour is for as a water extinguisher. You've got the white band across it, that is a dry powder. The wet chemical is an oatmeal kind of colour. Foam is blue, CO2 is black, and vaporising liquid is yellow. So they do have different colour codes for it.
So,
But it is kind of different in terms of what fire it is, because you've got ABE fires and BE fires, which you can use different extinguishers for. But those main extinguishers are for separate classes.
yeah.
And then you've got like a special purpose for class D, so that's like metal fires. So, coming up to our last video after this, we'll then have a little discussion, finish off with a quick little game. Okay, Jim?
Yes.
Right? Just to keep you involved in this
I
course.
feel involved, I feel.
I do know that it is a lot of information
No, but
in
it's
one
good,
hit.
I've learned a lot. I got it's good.
Okay. Alright, let's finish off with 7 simple steps to manage work health and safety, and then that'll be us.
Okay, thank you.
This short presentation will provide you with 7 simple steps to manage your work health and safety in your business. Getting started. Successful safety cultures are led from the top, where your actions and attitudes send a message to your workers that you're serious about their health and safety. Effective safety management in a workplace requires involvement from everyone to make it safe. To do this successfully,
People need to understand their responsibilities and how they can meet them. Talking with your team. Effective consultation encourages greater awareness of issues and can lead to improved safety outcomes. Seeking workers' input when making decisions shows them that you take their health and safety seriously. This includes concerns about your workers' well-being, because mental health is as important as physical health. Follow up on your workers' suggestions and make improvements with a record of safety discussions. Managing hazards. Part of managing health and safety in your workplace is controlling the risks. To do this, you will need to accurately identify potential hazards. Having identified potential hazards, you'll need to first consider if they can be eliminated. If this is not possible, then consider the risks involved and put practicable measures in place to control them. Information, training, and supervising your team. Training, including workplace inductions, is one of the best ways to ensure that the people in your business are safe while at work. It provides workers with information about the potential risks associated with their work, the safety policies and procedures you have in place, as well as how to work safely and deal with emergencies. It also ensures that your workers understand their work environment, their job expectations, and employment conditions. Maintaining a safe workplace. It is everyone's responsibility to maintain a safe workplace. Regular communications between management and staff is crucial to keeping safety a priority. Add safety as an item to your regular meetings so staff feel comfortable bringing up any issues as they arise. Keeping records. Written records of your work health and safety activities, near misses and incidents are important for your business. These records can help demonstrate what you have done to manage safety in your workplace. This can be important if an incident occurs requiring investigation. Monitoring and reviewing to improve. Managing and improving health and safety needs to be ongoing. Safety processes and operation evolve with time, and workers and equipment can come and go, changing the risks in your workplace. When you actively seek to identify hazards, inform, train and supervise your team, you can be confident that you are managing the risks and the people exposed to them. Guidance material and templates are available to complement these steps and provide you with more information. For assistance with work health and safety in your business, you can request a free visit from our small business safety advisors by calling 1800 019 115.
Awesome, and that's our video. That is the completed course, guys. So, what have we covered in the last 3 sessions?
Identify a hazard, or how to identify hazards within a particular set of activities and how to manage them. Yeah.
What else?
How to correctly fill out an incident report,
Yeah.
and about identifying what level of risk or damage or whatever.
The consequences?
Thank you, yep. Of
The risk matrix?
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, using the word, yeah, that's right, using the risk matrix.
We also covered what else? What was the first section in regards to?
PCBUs.
What the responsibilities are of a person who's conducting business undertaking in any work environment.
The workhouse safety. Yes.
Yeah.
Work health and safety. No legislations. So, we are just going to stop there as we've gone over time, but I appreciate your time today. And thank you so much for attending the course. Okay, so we do have these to fill out. So we'll fill those out, complete the evaluation. I will then do mine. and then that will be the course concluded.
Yeah.
But again, I just want to thank you guys for your patience today
Sure.
and understanding and cooperation for the course.
Thank
Thank
you.